Bonjour la classe et bienvenue à la leçon pour aujourd'hui. So today's lesson is going to be a little grammar focus on probably the big grammar focus for this unit, which is les adjectifs, les adjectifs. So all through this unit, I've been saying we're focusing on family as our vocab and adjectives as our grammar, and you've been seeing a wide range of adjectives. And so today, I'm just going to talk a little bit about some rules, maybe some things that firstly you can identify yourself, and then some other things that I'll explain a little bit, which might help you make sense a little bit of why you hear and see different spellings and different sounds of some adjectives. So for today, you are going to be taking some notes that I'm directing. And so pause the video as you need to, take these notes down in a place that you're going to keep safe, that you can refer back to, that you can look at, whether it comes to assessments or writing or speaking or anything that you need. This is what you're going to refer back to so you kind of understand the rules. And as you write physically or type it out, it will help you to go in a lot better in your brain and in your understanding, far greater than if you just listen to this video. So I don't want you to just listen. I want you to be pausing, engaging with it, taking notes. And then we're going to finish with a short practice on PowerSchool at the end of the video. So adjectives, let's unpack this new grammar point that we've been seeing. And so here I've got 3 sentences taken from Heidi, taken from things that we've seen before. So I'm going to read them to you, and then I want you to have a little think about where the adjectives are, what you notice about them, and start engaging your own mind of what patterns that you can see. So yeah, the first thing I want you to answer is what patterns do you see in the language, and then what does it really mean? Like, why are these patterns, and what is it trying to say? So, voilà. Elle est petite et mince. Mince is a new adjective you've not seen before. Actually, it means like skinny or slim. Grand-père a les cheveux gris. Il est pauvre et sérieux. Pauvre et sérieux. Okay, so what patterns do you see? And what does it mean? All right, so if you could identify petite as an adjective, mince is an adjective. They both describe how she is, describing a person. Grand-père a les cheveux gris. Gris is an adjective. Gray, the color gray is an adjective. It describes the color of the hair, les cheveux gris. And then last one, il est pauvre et sérieux. Pauvre et sérieux are two adjectives. This time, these ones are personality adjectives. They're describing how he is in terms of his personality or his situation. Okay. So I'm going to throw up to you a list of adjectives right here, and you can see I think my face is covering this, but why are these adjectives spelt differently? So we have gros, grosse, petit, petite, grand, grande, noir, noir, sportif, sportif. So sometimes you can hear the difference, but there's definitely a difference in spelling. So why? Okay, if you were telling me it's because one is masculine and one is feminine, you'd be right. And if you can go a step further, which one is which? And if you told me that, well, one is for plural, for many people, then you'd also be right. And so these are the kind of rules that we're going to look at today. So today, if you're looking for a title and you already have adjectives, that's great. A subtitle or addition to the title is adjective agreement. So this is actually taken from page 84 of your textbook, but we don't really use textbooks anymore. But if you have it at home or you want to look at it, then this is where all this information comes from. So before we move back into the French, let's have a look. Does the spelling of an adjective in English change according to the noun it is describing? So let's have a look at this example. Man is the noun, a man, the man. And then fat is describing him, the fat man. So does this change if we were to change this noun? Does fat change if we would change the man? Would it change if I said the fat woman? Does fat change? No. If I just said, instead of saying the fat man or the fat woman, I said the fat dog, does that change? No, fat does not change. What about if I was to say, change this to people? The fat people, fat also doesn't change. So in English, often our adjectives don't change when we describe, like whatever we're describing, the adjective stays the same. But in French, they change. And you've noticed that, you've seen it in the previous examples. You even probably understand some of the rules behind it. So you can go ahead and write this down. In French, adjectives agree in gender and number with the nouns they describe. So adjective agreement means adjectives can be spelt differently depending on the noun they are describing, or just depending on the word that you're describing. Spelt differently also sometimes that affects the sound and how you say it and how you hear it. So gender means that maybe it's masculine, masculine or feminine. So remember, that's what gender means. So if we're describing people, it's fairly clear if it's masculine or feminine. Not always, but fairly clear. But this gender counts even for objects. So in French, la table, the table, is feminine. So if I'm describing a big table or a small table, a big table, the word big would change because table is feminine. So that's what we mean when we're talking about gender. And that's why gender is so important. When we take down our notes, it's important to keep note of the fact whether it's masculine or feminine. Number means if you have one or more than one. Basically, we would say this as singular, sing for singular, or plural. Singular or plural. So if you have one thing, one table, or you have more than one tables that are big, then again, the adjective could change in its spelling. Not always. So we're going to look at some of the rules. Okay, so pause the video and keep going with me as you need to. I'm going to keep going. Okay, so you're going to spend a little bit of time copying down this table today. So if you are doing it online, then you can just create a table. If you're doing it in your notebook, then just draw a rough table, masculine, feminine, and then you probably want to leave this. Don't close off the table because there may be more adjectives that you add. And then on the screen here, you've got a list of different adjectives. And I want you to try, without me telling you, I want you to try and put them in the right category. Where do you think they would go? So let's take this one up here, créatif. Do you think créatif is masculine or feminine? And then actually there's a couple up here which are a little bit, I'm going to move them because they are hidden. So I'll put this one down here. Okay. Voila. When I did this, it was for in the classroom. So, okay. So I'm going to give you a little tip. Créatif is masculine. And then the feminine version, créative, goes over here. So some of them have matching. So try and match them up. Some of them don't. So pause the video, complete this table as much as you can by yourself. And if you're not confident on it, then just wait and continue with the video. Okay, once you're done, I want you to check your list. It should look maybe not in this order, but these are where they should be categorized. So petit, petite, grand, grande, intelligent, intelligente, sérieux, sérieuse, généreux, généreuse, créatif, créative, bon, bonne, adorable, riche et pauvre are identical in both. So it doesn't matter where you put it. You could put it on one and then put an arrow across or just repeat it, but it's identical. So the next thing we would do if we were doing this live in class would be to talk about the rules. So to talk about looking at both of those lists, what patterns do you notice? And that's where we get the rules from, other patterns in the language. So tell me what patterns you would say for knowing how to make an adjective agree, how to write it if it was feminine, or how to write it if it was masculine. Okay, so since it's not live, I'm going to guess, based on how I've done this in previous years with other classes, most students can identify that in the feminine column, almost all, if not actually in this example, all of the adjectives end in E. And this is different here between petit et petite. So these ones here are missing. So for these first three, our rule would be if it doesn't end in an E, you often put an E on the end for feminine. In the next two, though, we have a slight difference. Not only does it end in an E, it ends in an S-E, which replaces this X. So an X ending is a masculine ending, and an SE ending is a feminine ending. So if you have any adjectives that end in this, EUX, sérieux, généreux, and there are others, paresseux, you'll encounter lots more, but you want to talk about a girl or something that's feminine, then you're going to change the ending like this. That's the rule. Another one that we have, again, the E, but it's not just the E. We have the F that becomes VE. So if you have IF ending, it becomes IVE. And there's a lot of adjectives like this that probably you've seen. Créatif, créative. We do hear that sound difference too. Sportif, sportive. Actif, active. All right, we're going to look at this one as well. So that's one by itself. This is another rule, which we'll get to. See here, we didn't just add an E, we added an extra N and then an E. Up here, we didn't add an extra T or an extra D. So there's another rule that goes associated with that. I'm going to explain it in a moment. And then these last three down here, what rule could we say? Well, these ones already end in an E. So if it already ends in an E, do you add an extra E? No. If it already ends in an E, you leave it as it is. Okay, so probably you already identified those rules as you were looking at it because you guys are pretty intelligent. Intelligent ou intelligente, depending if you're a girl or a boy. All right, so as we go through, I want you to pause and take down these notes. So you can either write them on the side of your table. You probably didn't leave space because I didn't tell you to, so you can write it below. And we're going to have rule number one. So this rule is, like we just talked about, add an E to the masculine singular form unless there's already an E to make it feminine. And then you can highlight on your table, or you can write again these examples. And this example was in our table before. So grand becomes grande, jeune doesn't change. Jeune means young. Okay, pause the video and continue. Okay, the second rule that you're going to add, adjectives that end in EUX become EUSE in the feminine form. Again, we've got two examples, sérieux, sérieuse, généreux, généreuse. We've definitely seen these when we looked at Heidi. But this is why, this is the rule. Numéro 3, we talked about adjectives ending in IF become IVE in the feminine form. So we had sportif, sportive in our box. There's also actif, active, créatif, créative. So go ahead, add these to your list, either in the rules or on your table, so that you've got this big list and you know clearly which ones you're going to be using when you describe your mom or your dad, when you describe your brother or your sister. All right, this next rule is the one where we had bon on our table and we had NNE. Now, the great rule for learning this, and I never knew this when I was learning French because we don't have Saturday Night Live in England. It's an American thing, so SNL. If it helps you remember, adjectives, most adjectives, that end in S and L change by doubling up the letter. So instead of it just adding an E on the end here, bone, because bon and we've looked at this adjective here, gentil, gentil, sounds the same. LLE, okay? If it ends in S, N, or L, you add it on. Gentil means kind, and gros, gros means large, fat. Okay, gonna keep going. All right, this is not something that we looked at in the examples, but to make an adjective plural, we add an S. Okay, so that's just like in English, except that we don't do it with adjectives in English, but in French you do. So if I'm talking about one intelligent boy, masculine singular, le garçon intelligent. But if I'm talking about many intelligent boys, it'd be les garçons intelligents. But you don't hear the S, but we write the S. That's the spelling. Same for a girl. If it was a one intelligent girl, it would be intelligente. If it's more than one, intelligente, you still don't hear the S. The only exception is if it already ends in an S or an X. So gros would pass. So if it already ends in an S, you don't need to add an extra S. If it ends on an X, you don't add an S. Okay, so that's just the exception to the rule. Okay, pause, copy this down, and then continue. All right, so that's there were all the rules, the things that you've been seeing for weeks and weeks, months now in French. So by clarifying the rules, you can apply that to any new adjectives that you encounter that you've not already seen and be more confident in how to write them. So show me what you understand of today by completing the quiz on PowerSchool. Now, if you've looked at it, you will see that there's no actual question there. The questions are on this video, so you need to keep watching this video. So pause here, make sure you've got the quiz up, and do the quiz at the same time that you're watching this video. Okay, so pour numéro 1, on your quiz on PowerSchool, you've got a choice of masculine, feminine, or plural. So which one is créatif? Numéro 1, créatif. Créative, masculine, feminine, or plural? It is deux, it is feminine. Okay, second question. Intelligent, masculin, féminin, or plural? It is numéro 1, it is masculin, oui. Okay, numéro 3, grosse. Is it masculine? Oh, pardon, masculin, féminin, or plural? It is feminine, but with this extra E on the end, it is plural. So, numéro 3, it is plural. Okay, next question. Bonne. Bonne, masculine, féminin, or plural? It is numéro 2, féminin. N-N-E. Okay, now you've got a choice of 4, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. First two are singular, the second two are plural. So sportive. First of all, it's singular. So no S on the end or X, so it's singular. And it is feminine, so numéro 2. Okay, next one. I forget what number we're up to. Généreuse. We have an S on the end, so it's plural. And it is feminine plural because we have E-U-S-E. Okay, grand. Numéro 1. Petit. Gentil. Sportif. Okay, and that's the last one. That last one is masculine plural. Okay, class, so you get a second chance to get this right. So if you got any of the wrong answers, go back through the video, go back through your notes, use your notes. I gave you half of the answers and the other half, not so much. So bon chance, good luck, redo that quiz if you need to, you get 2 tries. Au revoir, à la prochaine.